Don, it seems like at this point we get that medical waste disposal is a really big issue for Ebola because everywhere you look, whether it be social media or mainstream media, you see these reports of medical workers actually getting the disease from disposing dead bodies or disposing waste. So let's talk about that kind of risk in the U.S. Obviously, we have better disposal systems, it appears, than in Africa, but there are real risks even in this country.
Yes, Paul, you're correct. It's a different risk than what is being experienced in West Africa, because in West Africa, they don't have the ability to isolate the patient and to contain all of the medical waste that is generated during that patient treatment time. And I think that's why we've seen a very rapid expansion in West Africa. In the United States, we have established protocols so that once the patients are identified, they go into isolation. Now, what that does is that generates a lot more medical waste because everything that touches the patient or that touches the caregiver during that process is considered highly infectious medical waste, and it has to be disposed of at a higher level than the regular biohazardous medical waste that's in the hospital. So, yes, we have the ability to deal with it, and it's different because now you're focused on disposing of medical waste as opposed to worrying about infectious material just being out there in the general population because we have systems and protocols for it.
All right, so being in the medical waste disposal industry, what key tenets should hospitals be including in their waste disposal plan as it relates to Ebola? We're talking here about bodily fluids, so there is a real risk.
In the United States, we have, again, well-established protocols for dealing with biohazardous medical waste. Then there is a subset of that where it's known to be highly infectious or contagious waste. And that requires even higher levels of protocols. For example, instead of single bagging the waste, double bagging the waste, complete isolation of all the material that the patient may come in contact or that the caregivers may come in contact while they're dealing with the patient. And unfortunately, Ebola apparently generates an awful lot of bodily fluid. And as a result of that, you've got this huge amount of known infectious medical waste that you have to deal with. And so the protocols have to make sure that that gets isolated, that everyone along the distribution line of then caring or dealing with that medical waste has got to follow those same protocols. So that means people that are taking it out of the isolation room, if they're using some sort of vehicle to transport the material, then you've got to be very careful getting the material from the isolation room down to the loading dock, loading it on the truck. Is the truck driver aware? Does the truck driver take the necessary protocols? And then what's happening when that truck leaves?
Gauge for me your concern level of Ebola spreading in the U.S. How much worry in your everyday life do you devote to this?
I really feel that if our healthcare delivery system follows the established protocols, that there should be very little risk. However, if you're transporting this highly infectious medical waste off-site, that can be an issue because that is then where this material could, if not properly handled, have a larger effect on the general population. Ideally, the best way to deal with this infectious medical waste is at the site of origin. And in many hospitals have focused on doing just that. They have on-site processing capability to sterilize or at least disinfect the material on-site. That makes a big difference versus hauling it off and running the risk of having some sort of unintended event as that material is being distributed outside the hospital.
Don, we really appreciate your perspective. Thank you so much.